It was supposed to be a light-hearted morning interview, a simple conversation about Sir Cliff Richard's new album and his 6-decade-long career. Lorraine Kelly had done thousands of such interviews before. But that morning on Lorraine, things didn't go as planned. The cameras rolled, the studio lights glowed warmly, and the audience applauded as the veteran singer walked onto the stage, dressed sharply in a navy blazer. Cliff smiled politely, but something about his eyes hinted that he wasn't in the mood for small talk. "Good morning, Cliff. Always a pleasure to have you," Lorraine began with her trademark cheer. "Good morning," Cliff replied, his tone polite but distant. They exchanged a few pleasantries about his new album, Reflections, and his upcoming tour. But Lorraine, always curious and known for digging a little deeper, soon steered the conversation toward more personal territory. "You've been in the spotlight for so many years, Cliff," she said. "You've had your share of controversies, especially with the press. How do you handle that now?" The singer's expression tightened. "Lorraine," he said, leaning forward, "I came here to talk about music, not the past, not tabloid nonsense." There was a brief, uncomfortable silence. Lorraine tried to smooth things over with a laugh. "Oh, of course, but people at home do wonder how you've managed to stay strong through everything." "By not talking about it," he interrupted, his voice suddenly sharp. The audience shifted uneasily. Lorraine blinked, surprised but still calm. "I think viewers appreciate honesty, Cliff. You've always been very open before." "I've been forced to be open," he said bitterly. "The media hounds me, twists my words, and turns every interview into an ambush. I thought this was going to be different." Lorraine's face remained composed, but her tone cooled. "This isn't an ambush, Sir Cliff. It's a conversation. But if you're this sensitive about it—" "I'm not sensitive," he cut in, voice rising. "I'm just tired of people pretending to be friendly while fishing for gossip." The tension in the studio was now impossible to ignore. Producers behind the cameras exchanged glances. Lorraine tried to change the subject quickly. "All right then, let's talk about your music. The new album." But Cliff wasn't done. "No, Lorraine, I think I've said enough. This is exactly what I mean. You start off smiling, and then it turns into something else. I don't need this." "Cliff, please," Lorraine began, but before she could finish, he unhooked his microphone and stood up. "Thank you for your time," he said curtly, looking toward the crew. "I'm done." A stunned hush fell over the audience as Cliff walked off the set, leaving Lorraine frozen in her chair. For a few seconds, the cameras kept rolling, capturing her stunned expression. Then, with perfect professionalism, she turned to face the camera. "Well," she said with a strained smile, "that was unexpected. We'll take a short break." The screen faded to a commercial, but the internet was already buzzing. Within minutes, clips of the confrontation appeared on X, formerly Twitter, and TikTok. Some viewers sympathized with Cliff, saying Lorraine had gone too far. Others insisted the veteran singer had overreacted to a simple question. By noon, the phrase, "Cliff Richard walks off Lorraine," was trending across social media. Behind the scenes, producers were in chaos. Lorraine's team scrambled to issue a statement, while Cliff's publicist demanded the network edit the segment before re-airing it. Rumors swirled that Lorraine had personally apologized during the break, though neither side confirmed it. But the story didn't end there. Later that afternoon, Cliff posted on Instagram, "Greater than, after all these years, I still believe in kindness and honesty. But sometimes, enough is enough. I won't let anyone, no matter how polite, rewrite my story." The post received hundreds of thousands of likes, but also thousands of comments, divided between admiration and criticism. And as evening fell, Lorraine addressed the issue at the close of her show, her tone calm but firm. "Greater than, sometimes interviews don't go the way you expect. I have great respect for Sir Cliff Richard and wish him the best. Live television can be unpredictable, that's part of its charm." Yet those who had been in the studio whispered a different story, that Lorraine had been furious once the cameras stopped rolling, and that Cliff had vowed never to appear on her show again. And so, what began as a routine interview had turned into one of the most talked about TV moments of the year, a clash between two British icons, each standing firm in their own truth. The morning after the explosive interview, Britain woke up to chaos on social media and headlines splashed across every major news outlet. "Cliff storms off live TV," screamed the Daily Mail. "Lorraine left speechless by Cliff Richard meltdown." declared the Mirror. For fans who had grown up idolizing Sir Cliff, it was a shocking sight, the usually calm, graceful singer losing his temper on national television. Some defended him fiercely, saying Lorraine had pushed him too far. Others accused him of arrogance and disrespect toward one of the country's most beloved presenters. Lorraine's studio phones didn't stop ringing. Producers fielded calls from journalists, tabloids, and PR agents, all wanting an official statement. Lorraine herself, however, maintained her usual composure. "Let's not make this a circus," she told her team firmly. "It was an unfortunate moment. We move on." But it wasn't that simple. ITV executives were alarmed by the backlash and wanted to ensure the situation didn't spiral further. They requested Lorraine to smooth things over on the next show. That Friday morning, she opened her broadcast with a measured tone. "Greater than, now, before we begin, I'd just like to address what happened yesterday with Sir Cliff Richard. It was a difficult interview. Live TV can be unpredictable, and sometimes emotions run high. I have nothing but respect for Cliff and his incredible career. It was brief and professional, but fans noticed something subtle in her voice, a hint of hurt." Meanwhile, on the other side of London, Cliff sat in his quiet apartment overlooking the Thames, scrolling through comments online. Greater than, Cliff was right, she was baiting him. He totally overreacted. Lorraine did nothing wrong. Two legends clashing on live TV, iconic. He sighed. He hadn't meant for things to explode like this. He had simply felt cornered, tired of reliving old scandals. All he wanted was to talk about his music, his faith, and his life's journey. But one question, just one, had set off a storm. Later that day, his manager, Stephen, arrived looking worried. "Cliff, we need to talk damage control. ITV is furious. They might cut your promotional slots for the new album." Cliff put his phone down. "Let them. I'm not crawling back to anyone. I spoke my truth." Stephen hesitated. "I know, but public perception matters. Maybe issue a statement, something gentle." After a long pause, Cliff nodded. That evening, he released an official post on his X account. "Greater than, I want to apologize to my fans and Lorraine Kelly for how things unfolded. I should have handled myself better. But I also believe interviews should focus on art, not past pain. Let's move forward with kindness." The tone was humble but firm, and it worked. Within hours, comments began shifting in his favor. People praised his grace, calling it the mark of a true gentleman. Lorraine, too, saw the post and smiled softly during her lunch break. "That's more like the Cliff I know," she said to her producer. "Maybe we'll have a proper chat one day, off camera." But behind closed doors, ITV executives were still debating. Should they invite him back for reconciliation? Or would it be better to let the incident fade quietly? 2 weeks later, Lorraine received a handwritten letter, from Cliff himself. "Greater than, dear Lorraine. I wanted to personally say I'm sorry for walking off your show. You've always treated your guests with warmth and dignity. I allowed frustration to get the better of me. Perhaps we can share a cup of tea one day, no cameras, no microphones. Just two people talking. Yours sincerely, Cliff." Lorraine smiled as she read it. She placed the letter in her drawer, next to others from celebrities she'd interviewed over the years, and whispered, "Now that's class." Months later, during ITV's Christmas special, Cliff surprised viewers by appearing again, not as an interview guest but as a performer. He sang, "Mistletoe and Wine," his voice as clear and timeless as ever. When the song ended, Lorraine walked on stage and handed him a bouquet. The audience cheered wildly. "Welcome back, Sir Cliff," she said warmly. He smiled, a touch of humility in his eyes. "Thank you, Lorraine. It's good to be back, properly this time." The crowd erupted in applause. The tension of that unforgettable morning had finally melted away, replaced by mutual respect between two icons who had learned that sometimes, even in the glare of fame, forgiveness can shine the brightest.